Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and I'm with Briana today. Welcome.
Hi.
Yay. So, if you could wave your magic wand, and if you could have whatever wonderful thing you wanted with food and body, what would that be for you?
Probably not to eat. I'm allergic to wheat, so I wouldn't, and I do like binge on that. So I guess not to do those things, because besides that, I'm good. If it's not wheat, I have really good portion control, and so that would be what I would do.
So you're allergic to wheat and you notice that you binge on foods that contain it. How long has this been going on? How long have you known that you were sensitive or allergic?
So I don't have celiac, so I'm intolerant to it. So my freshman year of college, so I'm now in my last year of graduate school, so about 4 years. I was 19, I'm now 22, so actually not that long. I did shorter in undergrad. So yeah, I found out I had allergic reaction in the middle of an exam. So I've known since I was 19. And then since then I started experiencing more issues with binging and trying to give it up and things like that.
So what happens to you when you eat wheat or you eat gluten? What do you notice?
I break out a lot. I get very bloated, a lot of pain in my stomach. My mood change drastically. I'm a very bubbly and energetic person normally, but I usually wake up very easily in the morning. I have long days. I get very lethargic. I get very moody very quickly. Things like that. I'm trying to think. Moody, lethargic, even focusing is really difficult for me. I feel like I forget things more often.
So since you found out that you were allergic, sensitive to gluten, wheat, what's the longest period of time you've gone without it?
1.5 months.
And how was that 1.5 months for you?
Amazing. It was the best. It was this summer that passed, so 2020. And it's always easier in the summer because that's when I'm not in school. That's when work feels like I'm not in all the million things my responsibilities that I have. So I don't feel it, I guess, as much. And it was great. I had a lot of parties and things like that. And I didn't even feel the need to do it. And I noticed such a drastic change in all my relationships.
Wow. What a big difference.
You think that would help me, but here I am.
No, it's tough. It really is. So did you just kind of conclude on your own just by realizing, oh, wow, whenever I eat this, I don't feel good. And whenever I stop eating it, I feel better? Or did you see any kind of doctor? How did you get to the moment where you figured out I'm allergic?
Good question. So I actually had the allergic reaction to beeswax. I'm allergic, which a lot of chapsticks have beeswax in it. So that's what I had the allergic reaction to. So when I got blood work done, they told me, and I never really had stomach issues or whatever. And I didn't start to notice, but I feel the moment you hear you're allergic to something, you want to I was that person. I was I'm going to eat all of it and then quit. And then I always had binge eating, just to say before, I used to not eat, and then I had binge issues, and then it kind of subsided. And then when I found out that it just spiked so much. So after that point, and then I started probably getting really, really feeling the symptoms, noticing the symptoms. When I finally started to give it up, then I started to notice, because I already had those moody issues, right? But when I stopped eating wheat, that's when I was wait, I'm always this bubbly person when I'm not eating this stuff. And I would notice that, especially if I gave it up over a month. No matter what happened, just the way I dealt with problems, the way I dealt with stress, was extremely different. So that's how I found out.
Wow. Okay. Have you noticed if there are certain times, let's say, where, okay, you eat wheat and you feel pretty yucky, but there's other times you eat it and you don't feel as bad as other times. Does that ever happen to you?
It depends what I eat, and it also depends it depends why I'm eating it, right? So if it's more like an emotional, like if it's like an emotional, I'm eating to eat like emotionally, definitely, because then I'm also binging and then I'm just going to feel shitty. Oh, sorry, not good.
All good. All good.
And then, so if I do, and I do have that control and I just have like a little something, I still will feel pain, but I won't feel as bad. So now at this point in where I am, no matter, even if I eat like a crumb, I do feel really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the past, it wasn't like that. But I think it's to the point where my body's like, stop doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about, in general, your diet. Like, what might you have for breakfast on a typical day or during a typical week?
Okay, I'm very weird because I feel like I'm very up and down. Like I kind of know, I feel like my eating habits change very weekly, like according to like when I get my period, like things like that. Like I've always been like that. And I always binge, like it's always like once a month. Like, it used to be so constant, but I'm at the point now where it's like less frequent. Okay. So normally it really depends. It's so hard with me.
Give me 4 examples of what you might have for breakfast.
It's either really healthy, either like an acai. I'll make acai bowls, like fresh fruit, like not sugar added. So, that I'm sure a big trend right now. Or oatmeal or a smoothie, like with bananas, usually with some peanut butter. I have some protein powder. So I'll either that, some cereal if I'm running late, like Cheerios. That's what I eat. That's gluten-free. And then if not, if I'm like cheating, whatever, I'll have a bagel. I always feel terrible. I'll have a bagel.
Just like a plain bagel?
Plain bagel always with butter. Mm-hmm. Or I'll have waffles or pancake, like heavy food. And like wheat stuff always is heavy food, so those things. So I'll have like a bagel, but usually bagel, because that's what I usually have at my house, or my mom will make cinnamon buns, like the Pillsbury ones. Mm-hmm. Those kill me though. Those are terrible.
What might you do for lunch? Are there any typical lunches that you tend to go for?
Like I said, it's very sporadic, probably because I don't have a consistent schedule, just because I'm a graduate student and working. But like if I don't make a sandwich, it usually be like a sandwich with cold cuts or a salad, or like today I had a salad. But if not, like I could get fast food, or it's very sporadic. Like it's not a typical, like I don't eat consistently.
If you did fast food, what might you do? Like what's some of your favorite fast food?
I know you're not judging, but saying it out loud, it's like,
go for it.
And I eat stuff that I would not be able to have, like Popeyes, like chicken sandwich, or like Chick-fil-A. Yeah, those would be the 2, or Wendy's. Anything, which I'm not usually like craving it. It's just like to eat it because I can't have it. And then I feel gross after. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's always like a chicken sandwich.
Do you have a regular dinner? Do you eat dinner at a regular hour, or is that sporadic too?
I've never eaten at the same time, like ever. My days are always different. My mom doesn't cook that much because she works very long days. If I cook, or if my boyfriend cooks for us, then it's always gluten-free stuff. So I always have at least one vegetable. Like tonight, I'm going to have like chicken meatballs with broccoli. That's what I had yesterday. So it's usually like a rice with a meat or a veggie. That's like basic normally. If not, it'd be the same as a lunch, right? So like lunch and dinner kind of match that together. Same kind of thing.
Are you hungry after dinner?
I might not be hungry, but I'm definitely eating dessert, like ice cream or like cookies.
And if you binge eat, when would you do that? Is it usually a certain time of day, different times of day? Do you notice a pattern in terms of timing?
If I'm in work / internship / school, no, because I'm, on the camera, whatever. I don't really do that in front of people. That's definitely like late at night. Like I won't even be hungry. And that's what I noticed. Like if I ate like when I was just hungry, I don't really have that big of an appetite. But it'll be like really late, like 11, past 11. And then I'll be like watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it'll be like the fast food also. Like most of the time I'm eating dinner past those times. If it's unhealthy, I'm eating dinner past those times. If it's healthy, it's like no later than 7, which I even consider late. But yeah, past 11, it would be like the ice cream and then the fast food and whatever.
Is your boyfriend supportive relative to your diet and trying to help you?
Yes, definitely. He's a really good cook. Like he always cooks everything from scratch and he'll cook everything gluten-free. But he's not with me when I'm getting those things. He'd be like, no, I'll make you. Like if I'm there, he's made me like a gluten-free chicken sandwich and like does it. Like he puts a lot of effort
That's so
into
sweet.
Yes, he's a sweet guy.
What are you studying?
So this semester I'm graduating with my master's in school counseling.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
And you're going to look to get a job shortly?
Hopefully, yes.
Where are you going to look? Are you going to look in the area that you're living in?
Yeah, so I live very close to the city. I'm in Long Island, so I will look in Long Island. I also will look in the city, and I work in the city. So.
And are you living with your mom these days, or?
Yep, it's my mom. I have a twin sister, and I have an older sister, so it's 4 girls in the house.
All right, and how are they when it comes to understanding your interesting predicament around food?
Very good question. It's interesting. I've went through a lot of phases. Most people that have these issues, right? You go, you're vegan, you're this, whatever, which was me. So my mom definitely wasn't supportive when I became like vegan for the first time and vegetarian. Just because she's Spanish, my dad's white, so she makes a lot of like Spanish people eat a lot of meat. But yeah, she was just nervous because in the beginning I wasn't eating a lot. Like I wasn't doing it to be like healthy. You know, I was doing it to like lose weight. It's definitely weird with my twin. It's a very interesting dynamic. It's definitely not supportive in that way. Like she always wants me to eat more. She's like, no, whatever. She's like upstairs, so I'm trying to, but yeah, it's very interesting, her relationship with it. She's a lot smaller than me. She's always been, but she's always like been that like competitive with me in that way. Like always wants me to weigh less than her, always like makes those comments. Like she says it seriously. Like she's like, oh, when we have kids, like if my kids are fatter than hers, and we have the same friend, she says it. She's like, I'm gonna make them run on treadmills. Like it's very important to her that she's smaller. So I've always felt that pressure. And growing up, I was always told like, oh, you're gonna be the biggest one, which I am. But yeah, I've always been like told that.
Mm-hmm. Does your twin have a sensitivity to gluten like you do?
No, she's allergic to peanuts, and she gets like hives right away, so she doesn't eat it.
Mm-hmm. So when you think to yourself, okay, Briana, here's what it's going to look like when I've got this figured out. So when you figure, when this is figured out for you, what's it going to look like? Like describe your relationship with food, describe how you eat, describe what you eat, roughly.
Just like consistency, you know, because I noticed that I don't have anymore, like I don't have issues with controlling like moderation or just like having a sweet sometime. Let's say I'm having like vanilla ice cream, right? If I just had that, I wouldn't binge on that, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't have wheat. So just getting to a place where I can like be like, okay, this is harming your body. Just really getting rid of it, like just understanding, like you see the consequences, my moods, just the way it affects my life in general. And I'm definitely at a heightened stress level just where I am in life. So I think I feel that more. So just not being like so emotionally attached to it, like going out with people and being like everyone getting cake or dessert and not feeling like I have to do that. Because I think it's more of a social thing, right? Everyone's eating the bread at the table and I can't touch it. Or like, it's definitely a social thing because I only feel it more with that. And in my house, since I'm living with people that all can have it, you know, they're getting like the fresh rolls from the bakery and things like that. And we're a very big sweets family. We always have been. So just not everyone's like enjoying that and holidays and things like that. And I'm always like the one that's So I feel, and then no one's supportive in that way besides my boyfriend, probably. Everyone else is like, no, just have it. Even though they know how I felt, like how I feel and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely hard. And then I caved. So I guess, yeah.
So when you graduate, are you going to still live at home? You're going to find your own place? What's the plan?
Yeah. So I know it's different, but I'm 22 still. I graduated undergrad quicker than most people. So I'm like graduating early. So I definitely don't have money to move out yet. But in the next, if I got a full-time job in general, next 2 years, I'll be out.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I've got
I'm on Scott. Yeah.
I have some thoughts for you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, is it tough to find out that one is gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant. It's such a downer from the perspective that, it seems like a majority of the fun foods, breads, bagels, pizza, pasta, cookies, desserts, like everything has wheat in it, just about. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say it is a legitimate disappointment when one realizes that the foods that a majority of humans eat, you don't do well on. And that the majority of your friends, 99.99% of all your friends, all the people that you know, they're going to be eating that. Their friends are going to be eating that. Their family are going to be eating that. Anyone that you meet in the future and hang out with is going to be eating wheat. Mm-hmm. So it is a fascinating experience, and it's an inherently difficult, I think, path to navigate. So I just say that to acknowledge that if you're having challenges with this. And it makes sense to me when you said, as soon as I found out that I was allergic to this, I started eating more of it.
Yeah.
That's the part of you that's a rebel. It's the part of you that's rebellious and says, basically, no, I refuse. In fact, I so refuse that I'm going to just eat more. Mm-hmm. And that's what the rebel in us knows how to do, because that's your best way. And a lot of us, that's our best way of trying to say no and mm-hmm. trying to symbolically unwind it and just sort of put it on mute. Well, mm-hmm. no, not only am I not going to listen, but I'm going to eat more.
Yeah.
And yeah, go.
I was going to say, this is an important aspect of my personality. And I noticed this because you asked this before. I noticed too, I'm just a big self-sabotager, in my life. And I noticed that I will let's say I notice that I'm very consistent with not eating wheat and not craving it. I'll just be I'll just mess it up. I'll just be I'm going to eat it, not even craving it, whatever. And then I kind of spirals down. And I don't know what in my head, I'm just like that. When I'm doing, and maybe it's because of my past and things that I went through growing up. And I think as my life becomes consistently okay and normal and healthy, I'm going back to let's not be good. Let's keep the negatives,
Yeah. So I want to ask you to consider taking a word out of your vocabulary when it comes to describing you. And okay. it's the word sabotage or sabotager to describe yourself. And because if I say to myself, well, I'm not supposed to eat that, but I ate it, so I sabotage myself. Yeah, that word makes sense, but mm-hmm. I don't think it's accurate enough to describe what's actually happening, because it almost makes you a criminal and there's something wrong with you and there's some part of you that just doesn't like you. And I want to bring up this term rebel again because I like it better and because I actually think it more accurately describes what's happening. To me, what's happening is you don't want this condition. You don't want this experience. You don't like it. If I was now I'm gluten sensitive, not as much as you are, but there was a time when I was, gluten-free for years and really made a big difference. And there was a time before I was gluten-free that I was in denial, meaning I knew I was sensitive, but I didn't want to know. Like, I don't want to hear this. And again, I think that's the human way of trying to just say no. It's less about sabotaging and more about the young kid in you that's just going, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do it. I want to do it. I don't want to do it, because you don't want to do it. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to have a gluten sensitivity and get rid of all these fun foods. No one has ever said that. So when you find out you have it, it is a perfectly reasonable response to want to resist that. And the way we resist it is it's a younger voice in us. It's the 12-year-old, the 13-year-old in you that's like, no, I'm just going to eat this. Now you can't make me do different. So as long as you start to see and play with this for a moment, if you see it as that voice, then you can acknowledge, yeah, I don't like this. And that's my way of trying to fight it. So you know what makes you feel good. You know what makes your body feel good. I think what's happening is that here's what I've come to the conclusion. For people that have celiac disease, i.e. they're completely intolerant, or they're on the spectrum, i.e. gluten sensitive, extremely gluten sensitive, it's kind of like a personal growth and spiritual challenge. Like really, it's sort of a bit of it's a personal growth spiritual challenge. It's like having a kind of a handicap in a little bit of a way. It's having the kind of challenge that in some way, shape, or form, at some point you have to meet it in a way that works for you. And like any other challenge in life, like we all have challenges. Everybody that you know have challenges. Work, relationship, business, upbringing, hurts, betrayals, all that stuff. So this is sort of part of your path as a growing young woman who's coming into her power and learning about yourself. And you're learning how to be a young woman in the world who's going to eventually live on your own or live with your partner, who's going to have your own job. You're going to be fully supporting yourself or close to it. And you're then tasked with, I got to take care of me. And here's what taking care of me looks like. So you're learning how to do that. You're not 100% there yet. That's totally fine. There's a part of you that's still a kid and still wants to have fun. You want to go out to eat and eat what everybody else is eating. And in fact, they want you to eat what they're eating.
Yes.
They don't want to see you sitting there not eating bread. It makes them feel uncomfortable. They like you. They want you to feel part of the party. They don't want to feel guilty for what they're eating. So it's a weird situation. It's strange and it's uncomfortable. And all I'm saying is you're learning slowly, and I mean slowly, how to navigate that. So again, it makes sense to me that as soon as you find out I'm allergic to this, you're going to just like take a bath in it, So I'm calling that the rebel in you. And when you acknowledge that it's that part of you that just wants to resist, you also realize that the rebel in you is a good voice. It makes you you. The rebel in you makes you your own unique person. There's certain things you like to do that other people don't like to do. There's certain ways you define yourself. There's certain ways you see the world. And chances are there are ways that you're very different from the people around you or different from your friends. And now being gluten sensitive is another way to differentiate yourself. And at some point, you'll get more comfortable with that. You'll get more comfortable just in the social environment You'll just learn how to make it work for you. You'll learn how to help make other people feel comfortable.
Mm.
Because a lot of times you're going to want to eat gluten in social situations just so you can relax and not have to be the different one. And really, long term, what you're going to need to learn is to relax and be the different one. Like, yeah, I'm different about this. No biggie, no biggie. And you order off the menu what works for you. So I think if you look at this as your spiritual growth, personal growth program, as your self-empowerment program, as this is the journey that somehow life has chosen for me, where I'm gonna be learning about myself. And right now, what you're learning about yourself is you ain't ready to be 100% gluten-free. And the reality is your body is young enough and strong enough to recover. Meaning you eat the gluten, you feel foggy, harder to get work done, brings down your mood. And then the next day you wake up and it's like, okay, I'm back. So right now you could strangely afford to do that to a certain degree. But as time moves forward, it's going to be less convenient. So how does that land for you when I talk about gluten sensitivity as sort of like a spiritual path or just a personal growth path? Like what
Oh, no, I mean, I'm very much like that. I'm always like, oh, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Everything that kind of happens for me, I feel like it's a point to grow in whatever way. So I'm definitely on board with that. Yeah, I definitely agree with you with the whole social aspect and that, because that's a big thing, right, with my friends. And I think it has to do with our age too. Like, it's just people being uncomfortable. It's not just with eating, but with drinking, with this, like, I don't like to drink. So that makes them uncomfortable too, because then that goes into their insecurities. Oh, is she judging us for not drinking? Like, no, I just don't want. So it's things like that too. I think when I'm not getting what they're getting, they feel uncomfortable, even though it's better for me and they know it's better for me. So that's something I have to be okay with. And you're right. Like, I think there's a lot of other things. Like, my group dynamic's very interesting and we're very different. So I think that's like another thing. So it's just interesting.
Also, I just want to point out, and you probably know this, so forgive me if I'm telling you something that you know, but the more we are under stress, whether it's actual life stress or just sort of self-created stressors, the more sensitive our allergic responses will be. There are many people who are borderline sensitive or borderline allergic to certain foods, and they can actually eat those foods and not have an allergic reaction. However, when their system is under enough stress and they eat, then they will have an allergic reaction to a food or a substance. So a lot of it is also going to be looking at how you can create more of a foundation in your day. So with that in mind, I want to say long term, I know this is going to be hard now, but for the long term, I would love to see you create, as best you can, any kind of semi-regular schedule around food.
Okay.
Any kind of semi-regular schedule around the timing that you eat, because what's happening is, because you don't have a regular schedule, your hunger cues are going to be very spontaneous. Chances are you're going to have a moment like all of a sudden you're hungry.
Yeah, I'm like starving.
Right. So, okay. So good. Here's a tip. Here's a tip. Don't forget this. Anytime that you are in the experience called I'm starving, that means that you weren't paying attention to your body.
I know this.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad, because
no, I know. I don't listen to what I see and what I know.
Yeah. You're a student. You're busy. You got an active life. You're an energetic person. So what you're going to do is you're going to just run around until you drop, um, a lot of times, or you're going to run around until, oh my God, I'm hungry. I need to attend to myself. So part of you stepping into your young womanhood is owning your body. Owning your body, being responsible for your body, because it's the only body you have, is the body that's going to get you through life. If you're going to have a family, it's the body that's going to deliver your kids. It's the body that's going to help you be you. So when you're ravenous or you're starving, it means you weren't noticing you. So that will make it easier for you to binge eat. That will make it easier for you to reach for any kind of gluten food. So right now, I think a lot of your grabbing onto gluten is because it's convenient. And weirdly enough, and forgive me if you also know this, but for many people who are gluten sensitive or dairy sensitive, those very substances, those very foods actually give us a slight high. So gluten contains a class of chemicals called gluteomorphins. Think of the term morphine. So they're opiate-like compounds that give you a subtle little buzz, give you a subtle high. On top of that, the allergic response increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure, and it's actually like a little drug. So when you're ravenous, it's almost like gluten for you is like a drug. Because it even though it makes you feel tired and lethargic and has all these side effects, in the moment it feels good, right?
Yeah, in the moment, yeah.
In the moment, it gives you a great hit. So it's a temporary hit. So all I'm saying is the more you can create a regular schedule.
I know, but I'm not always hungry. That's like, and I know, because I know this and whatever. It's like, I know all this. And that's like the worst. That makes me the worst because I'm like self-aware. But it's like, and it would be, because obviously if I'm less hungry, you're not going to like binge. If you feel like a little bit, you're just fueling what you actually need. You're not going to go and eat a bunch of stuff. But when you're ravenous, it's like you could just fill, and then you're eating quickly and you're not like, eating slowly and enjoying the moment, because I'm very about that, like being present. And definitely when I'm eating that stuff, I'm not. So I noticed that difference. Yeah.
So long-term, and like I said, you're not quite ready to do that right now, because to me, when I hear you and hear your story, I think, okay, this isn't bad enough yet. This isn't bad enough yet, meaning your reactions to gluten isn't bad enough such that you must change this immediately. You're not debilitated. It doesn't make you double over in pain. And so you're not ready to make that shift yet. I think it's going to be gradual for you. I just think you need time to play this out and to keep eating gluten, keep noticing how you feel, keep eating it again, keep noticing how you feel. And at some point, you're going to see, something, I have to make some adjustments. So how about this? How about you consider that let's not make it all or nothing? Because I think that's also looming over your head a little bit. I could be wrong. But if you're sensitive to gluten and it makes you feel bad, then a part of the brain is going to go, oh, well, I should eat no gluten.
I try to do that too. Like I've tried to do the other stuff, right? And then I feel, because since I'm always feeling bad now, like physically, besides mentally, like physically when I eat it, it's like, then it's a spiral thing. Like I try to just have like a little bit, sometimes I'm successful, but then it becomes like, then I'm starting to have it every day. And then it's like that day, then I'll eat more and more of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I haven't been successful with both. So I've seen that. And I definitely agree. Like I'm always like, oh, one day, whatever, but that's like been a consistent thing. So I'm kind of like, oh, when? I know to everyone I'm probably, oh, she's young, but like, to me, it's like when you're struggling for a long time, whether it's 3 years or 20 years, whatever, it's so frustrating.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when you look back on it. Yeah.
So any way that you can plan your food day, even these days, even if it means preparing a meal, preparing a sandwich. If your boyfriend cooks dinner, have him make extra for lunch the next day.
Yeah, we started last week. So that's why this week was a bad example. Well, I guess in a way good, because it'll help your task. We started like meal prepping. So I got like the containers and stuff. So I have that. So it's like the same amount, the same meal, like around the same time. And now my internship, because I've always switched internships each one, we have a specific designated time for lunch. And I never had that before. So at least for this semester till June, I'll have that for the week.
Well, that's great. So now you can get to have the experience called, as best you can, eating regular meals. Because what that does is it speaks to your body. You're giving your body the message, I'm attending to you. I'm being consistent with you. And if you want to change an unwanted habit, so the unwanted habit is, I just go for gluten. And you're not trying to do it. It just does itself. It forces itself on you. It's automatic. It's repetitive. It's unconscious. The way you change an automatic, repetitive, unconscious habit is introduce some consciousness. And one of the ways to introduce consciousness is to introduce consistency and regularity. That just gives your body the message that you're going to be safe. You're not going to be starving. There's food coming at 12, 1 o'clock, whatever it is. So as best you could eat a regular dinner, regular lunch, regular breakfast, even if you're not hungry. And on top of that, I would love to see you pack some snacks for yourself that you know you'll enjoy, even though they're gluten-free.
Okay. I'm good with snacking. My snacks are usually fruit. When I was like now it's weird, New York, COVID. So now my internship's remote, so I'm at home. So but if I was in school and in that stuff, I always bring like mason jars full of fruit. So those are like, I snack well. Like I'm not snacking on I do like candy, but that's like in the nighttime. But during the day, I'm not touching that stuff. I'm eating like strawberries, grapes, blueberries, all my antioxidants,
Another thing to keep in mind that might be helpful for you, and especially at breakfast meals, if you can try to skew your breakfast as an experiment to not having like a pure carbohydrate breakfast. Breakfast cereals, bagel and butter. Okay, you've got some fat in there, but still, I would love, do you eat yogurt? Do you eat eggs?
Yes, I love my yogurt. I didn't mention, that's like my favorite. Oh, love yogurt. I make yogurt and I'll put berries in it, and I'll put some raw honey. I live by like a little hive. We get it fresh. So I'll put like some honey. I'll put usually like organic bananas or something in there.
Yeah. I just want to make sure you're getting enough healthy protein and healthy fat in your diet. Because what happens is a lot of the gluten-containing foods are just high carb.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll tend to crave carbs more if we're a little low in protein and fat. So I just want to make sure that you're not too low in protein or fat for you. Yes, I definitely need to eat. That's something too. I need, like I said, I need to eat more in general, like during the day, like actually of those good foods. Cause like I said, I'm like on both ends of the extreme. When I'm not eating wheat, I'll eat like one bite and be like, I'm full, and literally leave it there. And then the wheat, I'm like eating it all. I'm not even hungry. So it's things like that. I need to eat more of that. And that's probably why I'm craving the wheat too, because I'm probably not eating enough of that healthy stuff. Cause I'll have like a grape and I'll be like, wait till I'm like, my stomach's growling again to eat another one. Yes. It's a journey, Briana. It really is. It's I think it's great that you've realized at a young age that you're gluten sensitive, because a lot of people don't see that. It takes them sometimes decades to make that connection. Yeah, they live with that uncomfort, which is crazy. Yeah. And I also want to say that there's a subset of people who you can graduate to a decreasing level of sensitivity. Meaning, as time goes forward, as time moves on, you can conceivably become less sensitive to gluten. I believe, and I've seen this, I know I've seen this with myself, I've seen this with a lot of clients.
Yes.
Usually what that looks like is, practicing, again, regular meals. It's learning how to just, eat a cleaner diet. And by cleaner, I don't mean foods that you hate. I mean just healthy foods that work for you, that make you feel good. At the same,
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and at the same time, noticing the self-chosen stressors that are in your life.
I can't control all of them right now, but yes.
Right, yeah. And the immune system learns. So when you have an allergic response to something, that's the immune system looking at that food and going, this is a hostile invader. I don't want it here. And your body is literally mounting an immune response against it. Technically, the immune system can become stronger as we get older. If you're taking care of yourself, if you're not overdoing it on caffeine and alcohol and junk food and all that sort of thing, your immune system can grow stronger, which means your gastrointestinal immune system gets stronger. Most of our immune tissue is in our gut. So right now your gut is screaming whenever it has gluten. There can come a day when it's lessened, for sure. You can also try, I don't know if, there you can go to the health food store and there are products that are, gluten digestive enzymes. There's a company called Enzymedica. Their product is called Gluten Ease. There's a more discount company called Now, N-O-W. The Now company has a gluten digesting enzyme. You could just get on Amazon.
What would you how often would you take it?
So what you do is if you're going to eat something with gluten, you take it with that snack or that meal.
They have those?
Yes. Now, wait a second. Yeah. Now, how much that works for you?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So what I can say is for a lot of people, it can cut their symptoms down by a percentage that's very noticeable to them. It could cut your symptoms down in half. It can cut them by a third. But quite honestly, if you can cut your symptoms down in half, that can't hurt.
Yeah.
So get on. You can just order it online. Gluten Ease from Enzymedica or Now, N-O-W, the supplement company, and I forget the name of their product, but just Google gluten digesting enzyme. It's probably called gluten digesting enzyme.
Okay, that's fine.
And just take a couple of those with any gluten containing meal. Okay. And
I bet once I buy it, I'll never even crave gluten. That's what's going to happen.
That would be so much fun, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Again, anything that can help mitigate your symptoms is positive. And back to the concept that this is a teacher for you. This allergy is like your teacher. And the teacher's sitting at the head of the classroom and is going to be teaching you all kinds of lessons. Yeah. Taking care of your body, listening to your body, not letting your body become ravenous, eating regularly, learning how to help other people feel comfortable when you're not eating like them.
I don't like confrontation, yes.
Yeah. But there's a way to help other people feel comfortable, meaning, here you are, you're going to a restaurant, you're sitting down with your friends. It's like, hey, everybody, just want to let you know at the beginning of this meal, I'm not going to be eating gluten. I'm not going to be drinking. I love you guys. I'm not judging anybody. This stuff really wrecks my body. It's just my DNA. I can't help it. So please don't judge me. I'm not judging you. Let's have fun.
Yeah, that's how it's been. It's getting better. That's how it goes.
Yeah. And it's just a learning and growing experience, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's the hardest part about this for you?
Just the way I feel after.
Mm-hmm.
After binging or just after it. I'm not used to doing things I don't like doing things that are difficult for me or have a problem. So it's very hard for me. When I fail at something, I know it's not failing, but that's how it feels in the moment.
Yes, sure.
That's how it feels. And I think it's multiple aspects, like within that. I think it's where I also am in my life. I'm finishing grad school, getting a job. So I think I feel that stress of, will I succeed in a lot of aspects of my life right now. Yeah. I'm just at that point. A lot of ending points, right? Just what will happen, a lot of unknowns. And I feel like the gluten thing is the only thing I have control over, even though I'm not controlling it in a good way. It's the only thing I have that I can do all the time. And it sounds minimal, I guess, but with all the things that I guess I have on my plate, it's the easiest one to do.
Yeah. In a strange
that
way.
I can mess up, because I can't mess up the other things because those have more detrimental effects. And I'm too type A for that.
Yeah, so it's sort of symbolic in so many ways of where you're at in your life right now. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good challenge for you. I really do, because also, Briana, part of it is you're getting clear. Like the 20s are a time to really start to be in dialogue with yourself about what you really value. Like what your values are. Because as you go into the world on your own, you bring your beliefs and you bring what matters to you and what you value in terms of just who you are as a person, what you want in your life, what you want in your friendships, your relationships, how you show up. And also how you, what you value in terms of your body and your experience. As an example, one of my values is I just value having a sharp mind. I value having energy to give to the things I want to give energy to.
Yeah. So
when I don't have a sharp mind and I don't have enough energy, I'm looking at, why not? What do I need to change? So there are certain foods that I love that I can't do so much because they tap my energy. These days, maybe if I drink once a month, that's a lot. I wish I could drink more.
Same, and I'm 22.
Yeah, right?
I can count how many times I've gotten drunk. Yeah, I'm not. But I think that's too, being in your 20s. I think it's at the point I'm at too, I feel like knowing my values, knowing where I stand, I'm very comfortable with them, right? With my values, but they're very different than the people I'm surrounded with right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great task and a great challenge that, you'll be dealing with for the rest of your life. How do I feel comfortable being uniquely me? How do I not apologize for being uniquely me? In fact, how do I enjoy being uniquely me? Because if you're going to be uniquely you, you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's a journey, I think. It's every day we're learning something about that.
Yes. Definitely.
So what, if anything, stands out for you about this conversation? Something that you think you'll be taking away that feels useful for you?
Definitely the eating patterns. I didn't realize how inconsistent my eating was until I really have to say it out loud. So that's something I'm definitely going to try to do. And just noticing, because I do notice how I feel when I make a decision. So just going along with it, not being, I think I'm too hard on myself. And that just exacerbates the situation. If I was like normal and like chill about it, I think it would just be a normal thing and we'd be fine. But I think since I'm so like, you know, like anal about it, it just exacerbates the problem and makes it worse. Like they're both extreme, you know? So I have to get to that middle place, but I know it's a journey. But definitely the what's it called? Eating like in between, like the consistency, and definitely like just understanding like the social aspect. Cause I think I care more about how other people feel, more than like myself and like how I feel. And I have to get better at just like letting that go. And I'm getting to that place and I've seen that growth and I'm like more okay with people being okay with being how I am, you know? So that's definitely a big thing for me. Yeah. If that made sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Well, you know, I really appreciate the way you're navigating this. I really do. I think you have a good head on your shoulders about it. And even though it doesn't always feel that way to you, it is a difficult challenge to navigate. It really is.
Yeah. It's not overnight.
Exactly.
I'm used to.
Yeah. So I think you're doing really, really great with it. All things considered, considering everything that's going on in your life and all the change and all the upheaval. And I just really appreciate you just kind of laying it on the line and being you and being honest and showing up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Me too. Thanks for listening.
Yes. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. Take care, everybody.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.